Oh boy, we're gonna do it. We really gonna do it. What's up guys, it's TBAG and today I have another worst to best video for you guys. A lot of you have been requesting it and this particular worst to best episode is one that I have been avoiding at all costs because nothing good will come out of it. Once I reach the top 3 or top 5, there will be a gang war going on in the comment section and probably a bunch of dislikes, but you know what? I'm gonna do it anyways, it should be a lot of fun. So in this video we're gonna rank every single Battlefield game in the entire franchise from worst to best. I know it's gonna be crazy. Don't worry, I'm not ranking Battlefield 5 as the worst in the franchise. Little spoiler there, as much as I want to, there are Battlefield games that are worse. So before I begin, I quickly want to mention how I'm ranking these. So basically these rankings are based on a couple of things. First and foremost, it's gonna be based on my opinion. It's also based on how the experience was when the game was first released and also a combination of how it holds up today. How iconic the game was for the franchise is also something that I'm gonna look at, and finally also what the game basically had to offer. Now one more quick note before I begin. There are a couple of Battlefield games in the franchise that I honestly pretty much never played, or it's been so long ago that I don't really remember how it was. For those games I'm gonna add a I'm not too sure about this placing sticker. It's gonna look like this and it basically tells you that the placing is not definitive because I don't have the proper experience with that particular game to fully stand behind my decision. I hope it kinda makes sense, but either way, let's begin. So the worst Battlefield game in the entire franchise, and this is based on my experience as well as those of other Battlefield players, is Battlefield 5. No, I'm just kidding. It's Battlefield Online or Battlefield Play for Free. I honestly don't really know the difference between Battlefield Online and Battlefield Play for Free. I know that they are both free-to-play Battlefield games based on Battlefield 2. Battlefield Online came out in 2010 and Battlefield Play for Free came out in 2011. One of these, I think it's Play for Free, I actually played a decent amount of back in the day. I remember I just bought a brand new laptop and decided to play this free-to-play Battlefield game. But this game was not that great and the pay to win mechanics were already present in this game and it really sucked. You basically had to pay $20 for a new weapon or even to try out all classes. It was pretty disgusting and Matimio also thinks it's probably one of the worst Battlefield games ever made. Up next we have Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, and before you guys are getting upset, I'm gonna give it my I'm not too sure about that sticker. Basically, Battlefield games are known for the multiplayer experience, but I only played this game on the PlayStation 2. And back then, playing online wasn't really a common feature, at least not for me. The single player was pretty dope though, you could switch characters on the go, but I'm not familiar with the multiplayer. That being said, I've seen a couple of videos about this game's multiplayer and people are praising it, so I could rank it higher, but hey, that's where the sticker comes into play. Next up we have Battlefield Vietnam, the second installment in the franchise, trying to replicate the success that was Battlefield 1942. Most people think this game is a little bit underwhelming because in a lot of ways it is very similar to Battlefield 1942 and it didn't really offer anything drastically new for people to switch from Battlefield 1942 to this game. This is one of the few Battlefield games that I honestly haven't played ever, so it also gets the sticker. You guys can let me know where you would rank this game on this list. Now on to the next Battlefield game. I think so far we are doing pretty good, not too many angry comments, but I could be wrong. The next Battlefield game on the list is Battlefield Heroes. Now let me say this, don't let nostalgia cloud your judgment. It was a pretty cool game, definitely ahead of its time, but as many OG players will probably tell you, eventually this game was riddled with pay to win mechanics, and that just downgraded the game that otherwise was really a lot of fun, and like I said, definitely ahead of its time. So with Battlefield Heroes, this concludes the play for free Battlefield games. Next up, Battlefield 1943. This wasn't a free-to-play game, but it was dirt cheap. $15 when it was first released, exclusively on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, running on the Frostbite 1.5 engine. I got it wrong in a previous video, so I want to say it right now. This game was basically a compact Battlefield experience, 3 main maps in the Pacific Theater, 3 classes, destruction and a whole lot of chaos. I played it for quite some time back in the day, but it doesn't really hold up that much by today's standards. Still though, it's a lot of fun. Next up we have Battlefield 5. Yes, there it is. Let the fanboys come, I can take them. Everybody knows that I don't really like Battlefield 5 so far. Remember, we have a long way to go. I already gave my opinion on this game on several other occasions, but to sum it all up until this point we have a Battlefield game that doesn't remind me of a World War II setting, a really bad single player campaign except for maybe The Last Tiger, a bunch of false promises from the get-go, a lot of bugs and annoying things that keeps me from playing the game, and I'm not alone on this. Some of my fellow Battlefield YouTuber friends have said this as well. Overall the game feels very rushed, which is admittedly the case because I think it got 1 year less development time. I don't think it deserves a much higher ranking than this, not yet at least, because we all know that a lot of things can change compared to the initial experience. Look at, for example, Battlefield 4. I must say though, the gunplay is probably one of the best in the entire franchise. Anyway, up next we have Battlefield Hardline, and from this point on, all the following Battlefield games are not considered bad necessarily, I'm just ranking them from worst to best, obviously. So Battlefield Hardline was interesting to say the least. Let me say this, Battlefield Hardline was a good game, it just wasn't a great Battlefield game, and I think you've heard that before. The game definitely has some cool features and mechanics that I wish other Battlefield games had as well, but it didn't really feel like a proper Battlefield game, like for example with the Cops vs Robbers team. But it was still a lot of fun, and even today, I actually made a video about it on how it plays in 2019, be sure to check that video out. Next up is Battlefield 2142. This game was pretty cool, the only futuristic Battlefield game ever made if you don't count the Final Stand DLC for Battlefield 4. And because of its setting, this game could do a lot of things that other Battlefield games could not, and that resulted in some pretty interesting gameplay experience. Though it is a long time ago since I've played this game, so I guess it could get a sticker, but whatever. Next up is the iconic Battlefield 1942, and in hindsight, this game could or maybe even should be higher up on the list. This game is so iconic and so important for the franchise. Obviously it was the first installment, back in 2002 there was nothing like it, and 64 players online in these massive sandbox-like maps was truly amazing. I think this game is still going strong today, like it still has a dedicated community, but I am not one of them. Let me know in the comments guys, do you still play this game, and if so, where would you rank it on this list? Up next is Battlefield 1. Might come as a surprise for some of you. If I had to describe Battlefield 1 in one word, that word would be solid. This game was solid from day one. The gap between its predecessor, Battlefield Hardline, is insane. The graphics, how it runs, the sound design, this game was pretty amazing. But it became a little bit stale after 6 months, because we didn't get a lot of content. Talking about maps, weapons and customization, something that was heavily present in Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 4. And don't even get me started on the random bullet deviation. Though I did like the World War I setting of the game, I actually learned a lot, and in terms of the vibe and immersion, Battlefield 1 nailed it. Next up is Battlefield Bad Company 1, my little baby. This was the first Battlefield online experience I had on the PlayStation 3, and it was amazing back in the day. Granted, it's a little bit clunky by today's standards, but this was the first game on the Frostbite engine, the first game with proper destruction, and an amazing single player experience. The sound design was also awesome, and generally, I really liked this game. Even today it still has this amazing vibe to it that not many other first person shooters have, not to mention the fact that this game gave birth to the Rush game mode. Amazing. Next up is Battlefield 4, and I know you were wondering when this one would turn up. You're probably also surprised about the fact that I haven't ranked this as the #1 spot. Well, I'm a little bit surprised too, but I mean, what can I say about Battlefield 4 that hasn't already been said? This game's multiplayer and gunplay is one of the best in the entire gaming world. There hasn't been a Battlefield game since Battlefield 4 that had the same large scale battles. You know, you have everything ranging from fighter jets to attack helicopters to jeep stuff, to snipers with 40 times zoom sniping from 1000 meters away, to PDWs, to shotguns, to assault rifles, to railguns, to some good customization options, to some solid DLCs, to some awesome game modes like Gunmaster. This game has it all, except for a good and proper campaign. That shit was garbage, that's why I rank it like this. Next up on the list, which is the number 3 spot, is Battlefield 2. To many people, the best Battlefield game ever made. This was actually the first Battlefield game I have ever played, believe it or not. And I'm not talking about a particular console or anything, just the first Battlefield game, period. At the time, I had no idea what Battlefield was, and when I first played Battlefield 2, I was blown away. I vividly remember my first sniper kill. It was against AI bots, and there was this one enemy sitting on top of a crane, making him an easy target. Since Battlefield 2, there haven't been that many games that captured the same feeling, let alone other Battlefield games. But yeah, Battlefield 2 is also extremely iconic and I loved it back in the day. I should actually go back and make a video about it. Let me know down below if you guys want to see that. And now for the second best Battlefield game in the entire franchise, according to me of course, Battlefield 3. This game was on another level. I'm sure many of you remember the E3 gameplay reveal trailer. That was so amazing. Again, such a big jump from the previous Battlefield title. In a way, it brought realism to the franchise like never before, with the lighting and the sound design and stuff like that. It was awesome. I'm not too sure, but I think I spent the most amount of hours into Battlefield 3 out of any other Battlefield game, and that's no surprise because the multiplayer was super addicting, and guess what, the single player was also pretty good, but not as good as the next Battlefield game on this list, which is on the number 1 spot. The best Battlefield game in the entire franchise is Battlefield Bad Company 2. Many YouTubers have made videos about this game and why it was so good, and if I remember correctly, even DICE themselves said that they don't really know why Bad Company 2 is that great of a game. It just was, and even on console, it was such an amazing experience. Also, this game had probably the best DLC of all time, being Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam. This is what you call a proper DLC. All the way from the campaign to the multiplayer, it was awesome. And not to mention the fact that the campaign ended on a cliffhanger. So who knows, maybe we'll get Battlefield Bad Company 3 somewhere down the line. There are already rumors and potential leaks that are stating that Battlefield Bad Company 3 will be the next Battlefield game, but only time will tell. Anyway guys, that's about it for the video. This was my list where I rank every Battlefield game from worst to best. Do you guys agree with the list? Probably not. Let me know down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that being said, I see you guys next time.